I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Are you ready to win at the game of life? Well, throw out that rulebook and get down to the business of being the best and most authentic version of you. Welcome to the Human Design Podcast. We're changing the rules around success, abundance, purpose, love, and life, where we're creating a planet where everyone can thrive in a world that loves and supports each other. I'm your host, Emma Dunwoody, a qualified master coach, human design expert, podcaster, and entrepreneur that is living the life of my dreams, breaking all the rules while doing it, making a huge impact, and living my design and manifesting miracles on the daily. Join me as I break down and simplify everything you need to live in alignment with your human design, teach you how to recondition your unconscious mind for greatness, and to take back your power so you can manifest your heaven on earth and serve the rest of the planet at the same time. It's time to give up the fear and step into your highest potential, to reach for the stars, to know and live your greatness. It's what you deserve, and it's what the planet really needs from you. So buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Before you get into this transits episode, this is your monthly reminder to go to the show notes and check out the Body Graph Chart software. I know you've heard us talk about this before, so I'll keep this very short and very sweet. But if you want to know the tool that we've used to bring in over 20,000 new leads and 5 figures in passive revenue into our business, then go check it out. It's amazing. Stop sending people away to other people's websites to get their human design chart. Instead, use this tool to put it on your own website. You won't regret it. And use the code Human Design Podcast, all lowercase altogether, Human Design Podcast, to get 50% off for a year. Okay, that's all from me, and enjoy the transits.
Hey everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I am super excited to invite back the incredible Yvette Mayer.
Hello, people. I'm excited to be back with you, Em.
So we can talk all about the transits, and I'm super pumped because for those listeners out there who aren't in HDX, Yvette is actually teaching her magical work in HDX at the moment. And I was just having an experiment with it, and it was mind-blowing. Like, everything that you were teaching, I was seeing mirrored back, like on Instagram. So you were very focused on, I don't want to give away your magic, but the things that you were teaching us to focus on, and how we would, even from the themes that we need to focus on, when and how, and the journal prompts and all the things. Then watching Instagram, and I was actually I'm playing around on LinkedIn. Like, I want to get, I'm actually experimenting with all of your stuff on LinkedIn because no one knows me over there anymore. Just to get the traction. And I'm like, oh my God, it's all being mirrored back at me. So all of these, and these are people that,
have no idea about
exactly, like Eckhart Tolle, Tony Robbins, like all these people that have no idea about it. I'm like, oh my God, Yvette, you have nailed this. So I'm super pumped. And if you are curious, people out there, and you're not in HDX, then we will make sure that there is a link in the show notes to make sure that you can come and join us and make the most of Yvette's work that she's giving to us in HDX. And of course, we'll put Yvette's details in the show notes as well. So after that, I would like to let's dive in. Let's dive into the month that was. Is that where we're going to start?
Yeah, well, we start with the month that was, and then we're going to go into what's coming up in July. Just to quickly circle back, because I'll give away a bit more information than you did in your intro, which was amazing and lovely. But it's so interwoven with what we talk about here each month. And that is that the transits are a background frequency. And, it is what it is. They are a background frequency, and it doesn't matter whether you're deep into the human design world or not. It's like this frequency, right, where we're feeling certain ways, or things are coming up for us that are common. And that extends, far beyond business and marketing into life. And it's not you can follow these and have the answer to everything science, but the themes, they're really prominent. And so the way that I work with the transits for marketing is to really take advantage of this fortune teller wisdom that is what energy is coming up and how can we create content that's going to be more resonant and relevant, because that's the energy that other people are experiencing without knowing why. And that's
Yeah.
why it blows my mind as well when, as you just shared, it's being felt by the collective, and it shows up in content more broadly without any of the insight that I'm necessarily or other people are sharing about the transits and marketing, because it is what it is. It's the background frequency, but it is a cheat code. It is an amazing cheat code.
It's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool. And it was interesting because as I was experimenting, it was all gate 52
Yeah,
and
we're
the
just
shadow
doing
was,
it now as we record this. We're in gate 52.
yeah. So it was so fascinating because I can't remember what day it was. Maybe it was Tuesday. And you guys can probably hear my throat. I lost my voice. I was really sick when I got home from the States. And then I had a massive meltdown on Tuesday, like a massive meltdown. Um, and what was crazy was like after I'd had the meltdown and I'd sort of worked through it, because I had a lot of work on that day and I couldn't do it because of my voice. So I took some time to be still.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I had all these breakthroughs. I did a bunch of forgiveness work. I actually processed some trauma. Like I've had this really weird experience that ever since I got back from the States on Monday, I have just been hit like a ton of bricks by the trauma of the separation from Justin, like, ending my marriage. Like I've felt it before, but I've not felt it like this. So this whole next level. But just that once my voice had disappeared and it made this space, and what came in through the stillness was this opportunity for me to, well, I was like, well, shit, I can't talk, I can't do this. And I was planning on doing all this other stuff for the podcast. So I sat down and I did the thing I love to do, and that's learn. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go and check out Yvette stuff.
Yeah.
So I started diving into it. And of course, then I started diving into the 52. And I'm like, oh my God, this is happening in real time in my life right now.
Yeah.
And it makes it so easy to write relevant copy, because not only, my line 3 is experiencing it, but because I understand human design and I understand the profile lines and I understand the gene keys and, that people are probably, the way you were teaching it. I was like, wow, like there's just this lived experience right here, right now of how powerful this stuff is.
Yeah. And just as you're talking, I'm thinking, so when you first got back from the States, we were in gate 15. So G center gate, that's about love, purpose, and direction. So
yeah, and I'm wide open there. So I'm highly influenced by that.
yeah, and you've landed and all this grief has come up. And I would say that's the not self of the 15 as well, because of that being, like this abandonment of the love and direction that you were so connected to for a long time.
Yeah, it's really fascinating even just watching myself go through this process, like, because I haven't broken up with someone for the longest time,
Yeah,
since I was in my
absolutely.
20s.
Yeah. So
And it's fascinating watching it all.
I bet. Yeah, as we go
ahead.
through this episode, I'm like just knowing the gates that are coming up as well. It's like you're going to be able to really feel this. What has just happened as well is we've moved from a lot of throat center gates through a G center gate, and now we're in a run of root center. So the 52 is a root center gate, and so what I expect we're experiencing now is a bit more pressure to kind of like the stillness, but that comes, and then it's like the pressure to move forward.
Oh, it's so funny. Like, what did I say just before we hit record? I was like, I was going to go ride my horse this afternoon, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to plan out July. I'm going to get all my everything from my work to my podcast to my meditation all planned out. Like, yeah, I can feel it. Like all of a sudden it's on.
Yeah. Well, part of the 52 is not just to get still and pause, but to have a plan. to have a plan. And then, you know, we'll talk about July in a minute, but we're going to move into a couple more root center gates, which are going to activate
Well,
you even further.
this cross of planning is going to go do some planning after
Yes, you're going to do that today.
Yeah.
So before we get into July, June in review. So June was a heavily throat-centered gate month.
Feels real for me.
So you were out speaking and being on amazing people's podcasts, and I don't know if I'm right about this, but you were retreating, and I imagine there was a feeling of manifesting your dreams coming true.
It was a magical trip. It was so cool, and it was like, you know, like I got to meet some epic humans. Like Luke's story, I've listened to his podcast. I think since it began. You know, like my eldest was a baby.
Incredible.
So that was really cool, and I've kind of connected with his wife Alison. So, you know, meeting her in person was amazing, and just see some really big names. It was surreal. It was cool.
Yeah. And that, like, if I look at June, that is so aligned to the energy that was around. So aligned.
Yeah. And I was going to say the other thing, like for me was also having my retreat, like running my retreat in Mexico, like, oh my God, it was just, and talk about throat gates, so powerful. Like the conversations were so powerful and transformative. Like
amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. So good.
I bet. My June was very, very different to yours. So it's true that at an individual level, we're not going to be consistently experiencing the same thing. I lost my father at the beginning of June, and then I had COVID later in the month. So it was a tough month, but I also did go back. I can't help it. I'm so curious because I was disconnected from work a lot of the time, but I did go back and just look at some of the gates that were showing up through that. And probably the one that really stood out to me was the 45, which we think of as being resourceful, and it's one half of the channel of money, but it really is about gathering. And that was a huge theme for my month, was being with family and gathering with people, first around my dad's bedside and then at the service, and doing all of that. And it was a very healing energy, actually, because amidst what was really challenging, there was a lot of connection as well. And it was beautiful in some ways as well. So, you know, just keeping it real, that if you didn't have the most abundant and what felt like highly manifesting month, you know, we're all going to experience in a different way. But I find that even in that, whether you're more experiencing some of the shadow states than the gift frequencies of the gates, it's still really, it adds a lot of insight and very worthy of reflecting on as well. So that was our
you know, also, I just want to say, like, especially being an emotional authority, like, I just feel like the gates like doing a little bit of this, just, you know, like when I saw the shadow of stress, I was like, boom, okay, you know, like there is this background frequency. So it's almost like a large part of me doesn't need to take things almost so seriously, because I am that line 5 that's like, right, I'm going to get in, I'm going to fix it. But it's also just gives me permission to go, there's nothing to fix here, Emma. Just relax, let it play out, lean into the higher expressions, and just, you know, this too shall pass.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, as we record this, as I said before, we're in the 52. We're on day 4. So we're on the 52.4 today. And it does have this flavor of pausing, slowing down to speed up, recalibrating, planning. And it is such a parallel to where I'm at energetically as we kind of come to the end of this month, as we come in Australia to the end of the financial year as well. It's like, this is the first half of the year for all of us. What are we going to do to set ourselves up for an amazing second half of the year? And so I think such a powerful contemplation is, are you prepared to actually do nothing and trust that everything is going to work out? Okay. So that's probably,
oh my God, I feel like
what I'm leaning into personally. It's like,
that is literally something.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah,
can't.
sorry, you just cut out.
It's okay. Yeah, I can't force my way through what I've been through. Like it's just been so big. And as much as I want to compartmentalize and just go a million miles an hour back into obsessing about something like my business and distracting, it's actually not the healthy thing to do. The healthy thing to do is just to allow and to trust and look forward to the process of evolution, because evolution is only possible through growth. Growth means change. Change means you're going to go through uncomfortable things. Sometimes that's going to send you backwards. Then you're going to innovate, and that's what's going to lead to the innovation and the evolution at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think there's probably many of us that feel like we're in a bit of an evolutionary phase at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's yeah, I think it's really this powerful time, you know, that piece to that you were saying, like to slow down, to speed up. I'm definitely feeling that in the business, you know, like my ultimate goal is to do less, not more. And I'm definitely at this point at the moment where I'm like, oh, can I trust it? You know, like, can I trust that that I can really do even less? Um, so yeah, even, you know, and it's that piece, like, because if I do even less, because all of us are like, I'm still working on my conditioning. I'm still working on
Oh,
um, letting go of who I think I need to be to succeed, even though, you know, I've redefined my success. I live a life that I love every day.
mm,
Um, you know, I'm freaking living the dream and I am a red hot manifester. I'm still human. And I think that this is something that's so important, especially as we go into this new paradigm. Like,
yeah,
we have to understand the frequency in ourselves of what it feels like to do less and receive more. You know,
yeah.
it's a muscle, it's a frequency muscle that I invite you all to practice and build.
Mm. And it's, for us entrepreneur types, which I know a lot of the listeners are as well, I always have to remind myself that I didn't leave the chains of a corporate career to create chains to my business.
Yeah.
And I think most of us end up creating chains in our businesses. Like, and
I
even
think it's true.
through what I've just been through, I have a team, but really the business relies on me to actually grow. And so I also came away with a sense of, how do I create more with less? How do I grow even when something happens that takes me out of the business?
Yeah.
So very, very gate 52 type energy.
Yeah. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. So let's move into July, which we're continuing. We're still in the same quarter, which is the quarter of civilization. And we are coming up to the end. So July is pretty much the end of the quarter of civilization, which is a huge communication throat-centered quarter. And July
Yeah. Isn't
really
that
is.
crazy that I've lost my voice right at the end of it as well?
I
And
know. And actually, I think
definitely.
last time we spoke, you were saying all while these throat center gates have been active, you've been having voice issues.
So, do you know what was really crazy as well? So, at the beginning of the trip, we were at Greg Braden, and there's this, oh my God, he taught these amazing things called the mirrors. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just about to teach them in HDX on
Amazing.
Monday.
Awesome. Because
So,
I
you'll
can
get to
look
see
for
them.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they, like, as a behavioral coach, I realize, you know, we teach the first mirror. Like, we're all in personal development, we're really aware of the first mirror, but there's all these others. And
Mm,
basically, the idea of the mirrors, they're written, they're from the Essene texts, so the time of like Jesus,
yeah.
um, and they are how you make the unconscious conscious. It's how things are mirrored in your life to show you what's going on inside of you. Like, oh, it's mind
Oh, I
blowing.
definitely want to watch that. That
Oh
sounds
my God, it's freaking epic. Anyway, so as we'd learnt that, we're standing waiting for the doors to open, like let's say the second day. Let's say you taught them on the first day. That wasn't right. But anyway, the next day we're standing there and I'm talking to Corinne, and it just dawns on me because I'm like, I have all this throat stuff. I'm not afraid to say what I want. Like, yes, I used to be. I used to be really shy. I'd never tell the truth. Da, da, da. And these mirrors, like one of the mirrors is about what has been taken from you or given away. And I then realized that in challenging relationships in my life, like I will speak until I'm blue in the face to be understood, until I have no voice left. And I was like,
Wow.
there it is. And all of this is going on while everything's happening in the throat gates. Like, you just can't make this shit up.
I know. It kind of slaps you around the face, doesn't it? Like,
I know.
It's happening right now. Of course it is. So as we move through July, so the first couple of weeks we're in root-centered energy. So after the 52, we go into the 39 and the 53, which we'll talk to in a bit more detail in a second. But I think if you're not already feeling this, I certainly am. It is when the root center energy starts pushing through us, there can be this pressure to make things happen, start moving, more of an activating energy than the 52, is almost like an intro to that. And then we get into some more powerful energy. So we're going to feel that come through.
Because I'm already feeling the pressure.
Yeah, you're feeling it in the 52, but it sounds like you started to feel it as we got into the second half, which is, the 4, 5, and 6. So you've been through the more internal phase, because I love how this works as well with the transits. It's not just the gate, it's also where we're at, right? So we're in like the 4 now, so you're starting to want to externalize more so. Yeah. As we get into the next gate, which is the 39, and that's a really quite intensely powerful gate. So we'll talk about what that means in a hot minute. From midway through the month, then we switch back into throat-centered gates, which run through until the end of July. And then there's just one more gate in August that finishes off the quarter of civilization. And then we're going to see the throat kind of disappear from the transits, largely because we've just hit nearly every single throat gate in the entire center over the last 3 months. I think we've hit 16. It can't be 16. Anyway, a lot. 12 out of 16 gates in this quarter were throat centered, I think, something like that.
Yeah, wow.
So,
feeling it.
Yeah. Just to zoom out a little bit to have a look at some of the other big energies going on in July. So we are continuing on in Jupiter in the 16. Love the 16. Skills, enthusiasm. So, applying yourself is great for, let's call it abundance. I always think of Jupiter as abundance, growth, all those good things. And then it's going to switch mid-month to the 35. So still a very forward kind of energy, a progress, change, that kind of is coming through as well. So, it's kind of like a hard working, if you like, Jupiter energy. And I think quite nice in the early part of the second half of the year. I guess it depends where you are in the world. Here in Australia, we're in the deep, dark winter. And so we definitely tend to work more, I find, when we're in that season, because we're not it's not like a big holiday season for us. It's like, let's get it done because, summer we'll be playing.
Yeah.
And versus if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you might be feeling a bit of that, like more like playful summer kind of energy at the moment. And then we're talking about Saturn. It's the 22. We spoke about this on the last transits update, gate of openness and grace. So that's something that is important to consider, to continue to operate with openness and grace at your own peril, given that it's Saturn energy. In the nodes, as for last month, for the first half of the month, we have the 48, the gate of depth in the south node, and then the 21 in the north node. So we spoke about this last month, but it's like, take this knowledge and use it resourcefully. That's the kind of theme when you think about that as a narrative. And then we move into a south node in the 18 and a north node in the 17. So these are really different energies and almost like getting in there into like fixing things, details. That's the 18 in the south energy. Correction.
Yeah. And I always think of that as logic,
but then the 17 is a bit like more about the
the
possibility,
17
what's
and
possible
18.
now. So that, as a narrative, that's also, I think, really lovely that it's like fixing what's broken and seeing what's possible in the north node. So that's kind of coming through the nodes in the second half of the month. Anything you want to respond to there, my MG friend?
Yeah, loads. So now that I've started listening to your course. So I would love you to give us an example of how can we use these? So what's the first gate? Tell me, the first gate of July is going to be
the 39.
The 39. So if I'm marketing my business, give me an example. Like, how would I use the 39?
Yeah.
And do you know the dates off the top of your head?
Yeah, 1st of July.
Yeah, I've got them here. The 1st to the 6th of July. So that's going to then go through the line numbers. But so during the 1st to the 6th of July, the 39 is this, as we've talked about, this background frequency. So how would I use that in my business? How would I promote? Like, what would I be talking about?
Great question. Something I love to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what I was just saying before I hit record, everyone? Like, I know and you know that Yvette's pretty epic, but you should fucking see her when she's teaching her jam. Like, when she's talking marketing, she's like I'm glued. She's so cool. So tell me, how do we use this 39? How do we actually physically do it?
As we move into now, we're going to focus on the sun placement, which is the dominant energy. This is what I primarily teach on. I look at Mercury as well, but the sun is 70% of what we're feeling, and it's the most reliable if you're thinking about a background frequency.
It's definitely the one that I saw mirrored back so much when I started running the experiment. So good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as we go through this every month, in parallel, I'm always thinking about, well, what does this actually mean for marketing? And I teach that in my communities as well. And right now I'm teaching it in HDX. So for the first week, which is coming up in just a few days as we record, and probably around the time this is released, we're going to be in the 39. So the 39 is the gate of provocation. When you dig into the essence of this gate, it is a root-centered gate, and it's connected to the solar plexus. So it's pushing up, but towards an emotional center. So it has more passion and emotion in it. But the shadow state of this gate is, and actually most of the root-centered gates are really about fear. The fear is the big thing in the not self. But the flavor of the 39 is that it's fear of not being ourselves, fear of not being true to ourselves. It's feeling trapped. I kind of think about it like a caged animal, like you want to lash out. You have all this energy that you want to, this pressure that you want to kind of make manifest into the world.
Oh my God, I already feel a bit of that coming on. Like, we're not even there yet. Like, yep, okay.
Mercury has already passed through. So you've said this before, you quite often feel it, and especially when we've got Mercury in front of the sun, you might feel the communication coming through you. That's already been through. So the higher frequency is, what are you passionate enough about to create now? It's really about creative energy, like
it's the pressure. I've just got the gene keys in front of me, my little cheat sheet that we got in HDX, and it's like the pressure of creativity. I love that.
Yeah. So it's like that spark of fear that, like, almost like I think about it as two sticks trying to start a fire. What are you going to create with the fire? Where is that fire leading you to creatively? So it's actually a beautiful gate for marketing, because it's about owning your creative truth and trusting that we're all creative and that you are born to create. Yeah. So then how does this relate to marketing? So I talk about this in many ways. I can talk about the gate as a story, as like a brand story, as a brand. So let's talk about it as a brand and as a communicator. It is the energy of diamonds were made under pressure.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like it's through that pressure that we crack through into new creation.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
yeah, the type of content that therefore is going to resonate with people is about when have they felt like the world was caving in on them and become resourceful and lent into their truth and found a creative solution. So that's one way of thinking about the energy. It can also, you don't have to be so literal, because we're going to have people that are experiencing the frequency at every level from the low to the high, right? So simply being and giving yourself permission to be more creative than usual, to really lean into your authentic creativity, it's a really great time to do that.
Yeah, I love that.
Showcase a different side of you.
Yeah, I love that. And like for me, I'm kind of like, from a marketing perspective, like you can tell the story, you know, like, are you feeling trapped? You know, do you feel like you can really like get people resonating with that part and say, yeah, but the potential for this is creativity, like whatever that means, you know,
is.
The framework of, let's say, my business, it'd be like, do you feel trapped in a life that's miserable, you know, doing work that has no meaning and that's burning you out, you know? Where really you feel that fire of creativity inside of you. And I'm here to tell you that you can light that fire up and express it into the world. So, like, just off the top of my head, like, I'm like, this is so good. And I think you said this on the class, like, especially for generator types, like, shit, this gives me something really solid to respond to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, 70% of us are generator types. And I am not discounting all of the other beautiful listeners who are the other.
No, because they don't need something to freaking respond to write marketing. Like, they're, like freaking projectors can go, well, I'm just really good at this, so I'm just going to write it straight off the bat. Whereas all of us are like, we need something to respond to. So I'm not feeling sorry. I'm not feeling sorry for them, because they can naturally do it without something to respond to.
Well, I don't want to neglect. I'm going to pause in case you're talking. Sorry. I don't want to neglect our other types. You can definitely take advantage of this background frequency as well. But if you, like Emma and I, are a generator or a mani-gen, and you are somebody that you need that sacral involved to create the kind of content that lights you up and therefore spreads your frequency and activates others, then the transits are absolute gold. Gold.
Yeah. Well, I think the transits are still gold for every type.
Every reason.
It helps sacral beings really come up with something, But I love it. So cool. So
that's a little example of how we can work with the transits. But I'm going to keep going and give you more insight around the other gates that are coming up in the sun placement during July.
Sounds great.
First week we have the 39. Then I'm so grateful for this, are moving into the 53. Now, this gate is another root-centered gate, and it connects to the sacral, and it is the energy of new beginnings, fresh start. It's about...
I love the 53.
Yeah, it's like, let go of the things that aren't working in your life, create the space,
it's my design moon. It's my attraction. I just
it's so motivating for you. Yeah, it would be so motivating for you. And look, for anyone that's been going through any trials and tribulations in their life, and I am feeling that I'm not alone in this at the moment.
You're not alone. Let me be very clear. Not alone.
There's a lot of stuff going on. This is going to be a breath of fresh air coming through this 53, I think. I was even in a call yesterday, and was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, and with a group program that I run, and Adrian, who's in HDX as well. She's in
oh my group. God, and she's coming to Bali, which is our invitation-only retreat. I finally get to meet her in person. I could not be more excited.
Oh, she's the best. But it's so funny because I was being quite open about everything that's been going on in my life, and she's like, it's okay, Yvette, the 53 is coming. And I'm like, I know, I really need that 53 right now. So it's like this beautiful thing, right? We kind of go through the 52 where we're getting still, and we're, almost stepping back to go forward again, or making the plan right. Then we go through the 39 where we start to like want to fire up, feel more passion, and then into the 53, it's time to actually start the thing. Or
Oh
you
my
know,
God,
at
sounds
least let
great.
go and have space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is going to run through to the 12th of July. Then we move back to throat gates, and the next couple in a row are connected to the ajna. So from the 13th to the 18th of July, we are in the 62, which is known as the gate of details. So, you know, there is this ajna kind of relationship to the throat going on here, which you can feel in the essence of this gate. When you go into this energy, I also think it's about having the right structure in place to give yourself more freedom. So the words, making sure that the plan is right so you can flow more effortlessly through life, business, whatever it looks like for you. Another gate that came up in my call yesterday, because I had a generator who I was like, you know, you probably will want something to respond to. And she said, yes, but I also need to have a plan, or I don't feel like I'm able to relax and feel. And I'm like, do you have the 62? And she's like, yep. So that is, and I think that's it. You know, it's really important for us. I shared this analogy around, I remember in corporate that we were all about helping the teams have more flexibility. It's such a big thing in corporate these days, right? But you cannot have flexibility if you don't have a really tight plan around coverage. Who's going to be available for clients at all times? You have to have the plan to allow for the flexibility. That's kind of the energy that we're going to feel mid-month with the 62.
Yeah, cool.
And then we move from there into the 56. 56 again, throat connected to ajna. This is, well, traditionally known as the gate of, or called the wanderer. I think this is, I'm sure you feel this as well. I'm going to imagine. I think of this as the gate of the storyteller. Do you feel this with this gate as well? It's like this being really present to the dynamics of everything going on and a little bit detached, knowing that it's all a journey. Kind of spoken about this on this call already as well. So that's going to come through from the 19th to the 24th. So thinking about, if we were thinking about marketing, great time to tell stories. Great times to kind of think about the hero's journey and like the roller coaster, hopefully resolving into an amazing outcome. That's how we love a story to finish. And then the final...
We love a happy ending.
We all love a happy ending. And then the final week, we go into one of my favourite gates. I'm just so prone to love gates that are in prominent spots in my chart. But this one I love is the 31.
That's good.
Yeah, I love the 31. It's my natural leadership tendencies, but it's also, you know, the 31 tends to, it's a throat connected to G center, and it tends to be, and I know you teach this way in your Gene Key summaries in the HDX work as well. It's kind of somebody who gets pulled into leadership, like a natural leadership, more of an influence than I am the leader. So that's how we're finishing up July, with another throat gate and a time to really maybe be showing some leadership or just feeling into your self-leadership.
I love it. And I love all of these, like, you know, like we can use the theme of the center, you know, like if it's a throat gate and you said, you know, maybe you can tell a story because it's communication.
Absolutely.
Like, that's so cool for marketing, you know, like, cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just have to tell a story.
Yeah.
And for me, and again, I'd love your feedback. Like, so for me, I'm like, well, I'm a 3-5, so I'm going to tell a story of an experience that I've had and a problem that I solved.
Absolutely.
And like, then we can, you know, dive into the deeper parts of the gate and just tell the story through the frame of those themes. And I just am like,
100%.
Far out. This just makes
all the dots are connecting for you, aren't you? You're like, oh my God, Yvette, this is what you do. I really get this now. I'm so glad you came.
Yeah, but it's because yeah, right. Because I've got Jazzy doing everything, right? I'm like, I'm on Jazzy's case. I'm like, Jazzy, you need to get onto this. Like, this is amazing. But the line 3 in me. Like, I can't just sit
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
so I'm like, right, LinkedIn, baby. You know, like we're going to go back into corporate. So I'm like, well, I want to work on my LinkedIn. So
That's so
I'm going to be
cool. I'm
experimenting
excited
with
for
all of
you to
it.
be wandering back towards corporate a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of clients who are on the kind of human design meets corporate kind of journey as well. And I'm sensing that there's never been a time up until now where the corporate environment is ready for it, but we're actually there. I'm feeling it from my friends that are still in corporate. They're becoming more curious and open.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got an invite to pitch for Google. So I do feel like, this is a while ago and I had to put it off because there's too much on.
Yeah.
But I feel like if, big businesses like that are
100%.
interested, then
gosh, yeah.
it's time. It's time.
Yay.
I've
Awesome.
got something very exciting coming out very, very soon that I don't know what it has to do with corporate, but it just made me think like I'll have even more to tell. Look at me. I'm like,
is it going to be at the end of
I'm
July?
so hopeless.
At keeping secrets, you are, aren't you?
No, well, there's going to be an announcement very, very soon about the thing that I've been having to stay secret about for a long time.
Yay.
But let's just say something arrived in the post today that I will be allowed to post on Instagram very
Is it going to happen today then?
which I am so excited about.
Will you be posting it today? I'm so excited.
I don't think I'll be posting it today because
maybe
I'm waiting for
episode. Early next week.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, a bit of a deviation, but yeah, I'm pretty crap at keeping my secrets. Everybody else's I can keep till the end of my life, but no, mine. In fact, I've been very quiet about this secret, even though I did let the cat out of the bag a number of times and got told off for it. Literally got rapped over the knuckles for it. So I'm trying to stick to the rules, but I'm very excited. Needless to say, watch out for the next couple of days. Then you'll finally discover what the hell I'm banging on about.
I'm excited. And look, I think by now, after, I don't know, we must be up to our 5th or 6th episode together, I think the audience have gotten used to the fact that this really is a conversation between friends and we're going to go off-piste.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's going to happen.
I get messages from people saying, I so love how you guys just talk to each other as if there's no one in the room.
Yeah, that'll happen.
All right. So just quickly before we wrap up, looking at Mercury, I mentioned this to you already. We're in that phase of Mercury where the Mercury, it runs in exactly the same order as Sun, gates-wise, and it's happening well in advance right now. Like we're getting further away from it. So at the moment, we're coming up to gates that are happening later in July in Mercury now. So we've got the 56, which, we just spoke about, which isn't until the 19th of July, is going to come through first. Then the 31, so those gates that were at the end are coming through first. So we've got throat-centered gate in Mercury, so double down on the communication kind of frequency, throat-centered gates in Mercury for the first few weeks of July. Then it starts to mix itself up. I'm not going to take you through every single one of them, but I will say this. The last 3 gates, which are the 4, the 29 and the 59, you're going to be feeling a lot of this energy because Mercury's going to go retrograde at the beginning of August and it's going to start going back over these gates again. Okay? So 4, which is the youthful folly, formalization type energy, that's coming through in Mercury late in the month. Then the 29, sacral, gate of perseverance. Then the 59, which is sacral, kind of the sexuality type of gate. That energy is going to extend. That 59 is going to extend for like 2.5 weeks because it's the beginning of Mercury retrograde. So that's going to be...
Yeah, wow. So what are those dates? Do you remember those dates?
I reckon, I'm not going to get this perfect, but around the 20th, I reckon the 4 comes through. And then the 24th would be the 29, and then right at the end of the month, the 59.
Okay,
and then
that was August, you're telling me?
No, this is in July, and then it's going to And then it's going to push through into August because they're all going to repeat. Mercury's going to go, it's going to get stuck on the 59 for a couple of weeks, and then it's going to go back to the 29, and then it's going to go back to the 4, then it's going to go back to the 20, forward to the, it does its thing. It goes over and over. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. Because I'll be in London in August.
You will? Gosh, you're a jet setter.
Well, yes, I am, and I love it. And I will be there to launch something exciting. That I'm still technically not telling anyone about. It will also be launched here in Australia.
Amazing.
And later in the US. It's all cool.
Yeah.
But we also get to see Taylor Swift at that time. So that's going to be super cool in London at Wembley.
Well, maybe you want to go on some dates, Emma, because it's in the gate 59 in the communication energy.
Just
Who knows?
saying, I've got to say, and I'm just going to pop it out here for public record. There is a part of me, I'm so drawn to London again. I'm just like hanging on every English accent. I feel like there's part of the universe might be telling me something.
You lived there for a while.
Who knows? Come on, 59. I did. That's actually where I met Justin. Ironically, that's where I met Justin.
And I'm like you. I have,
and the 59. The 59 is my The 59's one of my hanging gates. One of my bridge gates. So
yeah. Okay. Well, I look forward to circling back to this conversation down the track.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Do you know,
so that's the
I don't even know why I'm sharing this on this episode, but there is this agreement I have with, and I feel like I need to loop you in. I have this agreement with T and Elizabeth. There's a very specific song, which I'm not going to share on the podcast, but I'm going to tell you off air that I'm going to send to them when I'm like met this person. I'm like, okay, I just know it's going to happen. And it's like, this is the song. And Elizabeth and I had such a hilarious conversation about this last year. We were laughing our asses off. And I thought of the cheesiest love song you've ever heard. In fact, I think it came on the radio. And I'm like, this is the song I'm going to send you. This is what I'm going to send you. So I'm going to loop you in on that one.
See? New beginnings.
Yeah.
July, August. It's all happening.
Bring it on, baby. Freaking bring it on. Imagine if we'd be sitting here a month from now or 2 months from now going, what the fuck? It all just happened.
Well,
so I also made like 3 million in July, and my thing that I can't talk about was like the best launch ever, and just going to throw all of the things out now.
Let's just manifest that.
Yeah, sounds
awesome.
Good.
Well, thank you. Thanks for today. It was such a good episode. I loved it. I love talking about marketing. Yeah. So. Yeah. Cheers to you.
And I think that, I love hearing you talk about marketing. I think next time let's talk a bit more about how we use marketing, how we use Mercury in marketing.
Right.
So we can give a few examples of that next month. Thank you so much for being here with me, my dear friend and marketing guru, Yvette. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you next month.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for being here. I trust you got what you needed from today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed hanging out with the two of us. Love you lots. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks everyone for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.